Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Justin. It's time for another weekly top five. This week, as you might know, Dennis Hopper was chosen for 12 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which means he is the focal point of the week. It is Dennis Hopper week on the channel. So, he had such a long career and he had a lot of great performances. So it was kind of difficult for me to narrow this one down. Some actors, it's pretty easy to narrow it down to, maybe 6 or 7 and then decide. Dennis Hopper had a lot of great performances. And the thing about Dennis Hopper is it's tougher because he was essentially a career villain. Most of his work, he plays the bad guy, and he was phenomenal at it. You could call it being typecast. I just call it being really good at your job. And even in some of the movies where he's not necessarily the villain, he's still pretty deranged. And he just plays the part really well. So there were a couple easy ones right off the bat. I think you have to... I think when you think top 5 Dennis Hopper movies, Easy Rider has to be on there. It's one of the most iconic movies of all time with such a great cast. It's such a great movie. Jack Nicholson, Dennis Hopper, just a whole slew of other actors. It's an iconic movie. Another one I think that's going to be on most people's top 5 would be Speed. How can you not love his portrayal as Howard Payne, Atlanta PD Bomb Squad? He's just so easy to hate, and his performance is phenomenal. It's a great action movie. Keanu Reeves, Jeff Daniels, Sandra Bullock, they're all great. It's just a fun movie. So after that, there was probably 5 or 6 movies that it was like, all right, which ones are making the list? I'm a big fan of George Romero. I think George Romero is the most iconic, one of the most iconic directors of horror movies of all time, and his Dead series is second to none. And that being said, Dennis Hopper starred in Land of the Dead in 2005, and his performance was phenomenal. I love this movie because it's a progression on the original Dead trilogy: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. You have basically this group of wealthy people who have made a life for themselves, but need basically manual labor to keep that life. And they don't care how badly they're treated. They just want theirs. And that's, Dennis Hopper to a T. He's a dick in most of his roles. He might have been a great guy in real life, but in most of his roles, he plays a great dick. And Land of the Dead was no exception. So that makes the list as my third favorite, one of my 5 favorite movies. Blue Velvet, I think, has, I've only seen it a few times, but each time it's gotten better. And actually, that's when you read about the movie, when it first came out, people were like, what is this? But over time, it's gotten, better responses. And it's become one of the most popular movies of the 1980s. And you can kind of tell it gets better each time you watch it. The performances are fantastic. And Dennis Hopper, again, basically steals every scene he's in. As Frank, huffing gas, just crazy. And it's so enjoyable to watch. So that's 4. And then this is where it got really tough. I ended up going with another horror movie, albeit a horror comedy, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He plays Lefty Enright, the uncle of the original movies, Franklin. If anybody who's seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Franklin was the paraplegic. And he's the good guy, but he's fucking nuts. And, he's just as out there in a different way to Leatherface and his family. And it works, and the comedic timing works. And it's just an enjoyable movie. Tobe Hooper, I think I personally enjoy part 2 better than the original. I like the more family, the background on the family. I like the humor. So I really enjoy Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So that's the top 5. Land of the Dead, Easy Rider, Speed, Blue Velvet, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That's my top 5. There are several honorable mentions. I love the movie, and it was hard because I wanted to put this in the top 5, but I just detest Marlon Brando so much that I could not put Apocalypse Now in my top 5 Dennis Hopper movies. As good as he was, and as much as I love the movie, I dislike Marlon Brando that much. I think he was overrated as an actor. He was lazy, and it just irks me as how good that movie is, how overrated I think Marlon Brando is. That's just my opinion. Super Mario Brothers. I remember seeing this movie as a kid, and is it cheesy? Of course it is. But it's like Howard the Duck. It's a guilty pleasure. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's nothing like the video games, but it's still a fun movie. People just dump on it, and I just don't get it. I enjoy the movie. And I thought he was fantastic as King Koopa. So that makes honorable mentions as far as I'm concerned. So that's my top 5. Land of the Dead, Easy Rider, Speed, Blue Velvet, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Stick around this week. Probably do a couple reviews on different Dennis Hopper movies. Can't wait to find out which ones I'm going to do. I don't even know. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.